Hello everyone and welcome to the daily analysis. It's the 3rd of December, a very interesting day to begin with. There was a lot of movement, especially in the US dollar pairs, and that's what we typically look at specifically on this channel. Excuse me. So there was a lot of US dollar weakness here, and it was heavily influenced by a lot of the trade wars that's been going off, and also with the Trump tweets, which obviously doesn't help. But it's a catalyst for markets to kind of explode to one direction or another. So what we can see really here is that we have a huge impulse moves right now across all US dollar pairs. So if you have a look, I'll point them out as we go through each pair, but it's quite obvious where price is heading now. So if we begin with obviously GBP USD, touching on from 2 days ago at the start of the week, we found this great momentum push here. So we had that retest, rejection, push to the upside. This momentum candle afterwards caused us to get into a trade here. So potentially you could have been making about 80 odd pips on this trade, especially with this impulse to the upside from this morning. And if you notice right now, we're into this reversal area, so you could potentially take your profits now, or you can hold it. Depends how your strategy works. But for us if you did miss this sort of impulse move, there is a second opportunity to catch on. Just depends if we continue to move along this bull run. We want to see some push to the upside and close back in to reject this, so this yellow zone becomes support, and then the bullish sentiment to the upside. So we'll continue this route if possible. If not, we'll find some rejection again in this yellow zone, and ultimately we push further down and find the inverse of the upside towards the downside. So we can keep that in mind for GBP USD. So moving on to Euro USD, same thing happened here. There's a lot of confidences with GBP USD. As you can see, we've had this huge impulse move to the upside, and what we can see here is we're coming into our zone. Now we're testing it, but not too sure right now if this is a good enough test of this zone. I do believe it could potentially come back in as a bit more of a retrace. If we pull out our fib, if anything lines up, we could potentially come back to our bottom zone or the 236 level as a potential. But if you did manage to take that jump risk, just jump into this trade, there's no problem with that. There's obviously always different types of styles of trading this strategy, but for a risk of 25 pips, it's not really that much. But let's see what happens. We could potentially be entering this market right now and see if we can reach higher highs as we've previously done so far in mid-November. Moving on to USD JPY, we've just absolutely crashed here, just a huge nosedive to the downside, very quickly just tapping into our reversal zone with that sentiment, bearish sentiment that we keep talking about here. So that's a very strong push to the downside, and also we also rejected the 109.87, 187. Sorry, this is our daily level. If we have a look here, so nicely done there, and rejected that very well. So there was a potential to get into this market here, and we've also got that chance to retest here. So good 50 pip to the downside, 50 pip move to the downside, coming to catch into our yellow reversal zone here. So we could potentially start to now look for if this is able to contract and retrace back up, or if it's able to continue to push down below and take that retrace and then push further down. I do believe that we could be still heading down, so I will be looking for shorts in this, as we have broken our daily uptrend that we have drawn and redrawn for many of time. Maybe this is the time that we have for us to be convinced that we're in a bear market right now. So just pay attention to this yellow reversal zone, and if you forget the zones, go ahead and check back quickly to our weekly videos. It tells you exactly what the zones are. So with gold, as we spoke about earlier, we just waited for a good push to the upside, or to confirm a direction. We have our EMAs being rejected as a confluence as well, and also piercing out of our red reversal zone. So if you did manage to take that trade, it was a very big trade, really, 150 pips, tapping straight back into our reversal zone at the top. So now if we extend this reversal zone, what we could look for here now is if this is able to continue to act as resistance as it is here, as it's done so here. See if we can do that, or if we are able to push back up and close again higher. So if you did miss that bottom move here, don't worry about it. Don't jump straight into it. As you can see, all this area here is what I call no man's land. You can literally, the market can go anywhere, so it's better to stay on one side or the other. I almost call it like polar opposites. So just be aware that if you are to take a trade, I preferably prefer to make a decision in these areas here. So taking on the news that, well, the price market that we've had today, we've had that huge push to the upside. I will be expecting some retracements if we are still pushing down, so we could get a double top into this zone and then we get that push to the downside, or we could continue to push to the upside. So that's kind of majority of the analysis through the other pairs. Something just to quickly note that I should have mentioned before. In terms of news tomorrow, there is the NFP, so a very big week as we all know, and obviously the non-manufacturing PMI news as well. So just keep that in mind. It's a very big week. The NFP is a big mover, so just keep in mind that obviously the US dollar has a lot of volatility with this, so play your cards correct and don't jump the gun. That's all I can say, really, and that's all for today. Thank you very much for listening, and make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel for all of our daily analysis videos, just so you're on top of everything. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.